internet. It is I, the one, the only fucking person here, Sneaky Devil. This is Fanfiction 9002, episode number 59. Now, I am the only one here tonight because, everyone else is unreliable pieces of shit. As such, we'll be doing whatever the hell I feel like. And I feel like just suffering eternally forever. So we're going to start off with the Throne of Heroes, a Fate Stay Night Ruby crossover. Now, of course, as per Twitch guidelines, I am required to remind everyone here that at no point in time are you to contact the authors featured in these here fan factions, because that would be considered by Twitch to be harassment, and we don't want to harass anyone now, do we? Switch to Mixer, the future is now, old man. Oh, well, you know what? Mixer ain't paying me yet. I'm not as big as Ninja yet. So they've refused to give me a signing bonus, which means that I will be here until Twitch shuts me down. Gamers rise up indeed, Arn. I appreciate your contributions to the Old Man Twitch Fund. Now, with all of that being diatribed, let us begin the cancer that has infected the internet this week. So, the story we are currently going to be covering is called Throne of Heroes. I know, it's a very, very, very original name for a Fate Stay Night crossover. No one has ever used the words Throne of Heroes and Fate Stay Night together ever before. It's very original. Now, John Ark is the black sheep of his family. You see, he's the black sheep of the family because he is not only straight, but also male. Unable to awaken his aura, and scrambling for some kind of achievement, he becomes desperate enough to perform a ritual found in an ancient book of magic, unwittingly exposes Remnant to things even the esteemed hunters of Beacon Academy can hardly imagine. Now, there's a couple things wrong with the premise itself to start off with. So, the premise is that John, for whatever reason, cannot awaken his aura, which is all fine and dandy. You had Naruto, for example, Rock Lee could not use chakra to do ninjutsus. And, that's fine then. You have that one person that's got that weird-ass mutation and they can't do the energy expelling thing that everyone else can do. Alright, A-okay. I'm following you that far, author. But then he has John proceed to do a magical ritual. Now, the problem here is that anyone who is aware of Fate-verse shit is that your magical circuits, which let you do the whole magic mumbo-jumbo thing, they need to be awakened by either skill or, having a life-and-death scenario, or by being a pure retard. And I highly doubt the author's going to do any of these things. Who has joined us? Is that Kiln? No, it is Arn and Orpheus. Wow. Truly, I have the best co-hosts ever that guest stars show up before they do. Nice of you to join me, guys. Beam me up, Sneaky. So how are you guys doing on this fine night?
Well, I mean, I'm here, which means not good, honestly.
Fair enough, I suppose. Let's see, anything else to add about Fate at this point in time? No, that's about it, so let's get right on into it. Now, of course, John summons Archer because can't have a original concept in a fan fiction. That would be antithesis to the whole idea of almost anything can happen in a fan fiction, right? Almost anything can happen as long as you follow canon rails and canon characters and don't write the canon personalities at all. Of the mighty Morgoth. Cool. Thank you for joining us. Let silver and steel be the essence, and let stone and the Archduke of Contracts be the foundation. Let yellow be the color I pay tribute to. This was...
Who the fuck pays tribute to the color yellow?
The French.
God damn French.
No,
you
that's
can't
white.
trust them for anything.
Exactly.
Sneaky, that's white, because they surrender, you know.
You can't trust the French to do anything. Besides surrender. You can always trust the French to surrender.
Exactly.
Can kill themselves. They'll bust out the guillotine, but God forbid you ask them to do something important.
This was, without a doubt, the most foolish thing I had ever done. I was currently in my parents' backyard. Okay. That isn't to say I was in a small fence yard. Far from it. My parents, for all they were horrendously irresponsible and truant, were fairly well-off huntsmen. They had what I suppose could be loosely referred to as an estate. A large plot of land the government had provided them with at a low cost in exchange for outstanding service to the city of Vale. Okay. Now... Okay, I'm not gonna comment, actually. You know what? I'm not gonna comment.
Oh, it's a full fucking hot dick sausage fest in here. What's up, guys?
Bruh.
Sir,
Oh,
not
wow.
the first words I want to hear.
Max showed up. I guess that means I have to add his name to the roster.
I told you I was going to be a couple minutes late, dumbass. I did it through your preferred messaging, too.
Let my great master Leon Arc be the ancestor. Let rise a wall against the wind that shall fall. The problem,
What
as
story is this?
Alright,
I'm
so
sorry,
this
hang on.
is a Fate Stay Night Ruby crossover in which John has a genetic disorder that prevented his body from ever growing a brain. Oh, sorry, I meant aura. Prevented his body from ever having aura.
Okay.
It's easy to get the two confused, especially how the author writes these characters. But, however, has fully working magical circuits and manages to summon and support a servant without a Holy Grail war being present.
Okay. Theoretically possible, but it usually kills someone.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
He also doesn't have a soul, though. Just you know. Let me in the chat, Sneaky, you coward. I'm sorry. You have to be an actual citizen of your country to join the
There's no illegal aliens allowed in shit.
This is a taco free zone, so
are you gonna drop a link to this in?
Did I not already? I thought I did.
No.
Let me rectify that again.
Disclaimer.
I did do the disclaimer.
Welcome to the Ice Agent live stream, keeping Twitch safe from the fucking.
Now,
I'm
George.
gonna stop there. Fill in the blanks.
Anyway.
Next, the first fanfiction we're gonna read tonight is an Acacia Cortez / Rashida Tlaib fucking slash fic, where they scissor each other and like strap fucking bombs to their chest to go blow up an ice facility.
Jesus fuck.
You know, I don't get to say this often to anyone other than Sneaky. Jorp, you might get us banned.
Well, I mean,
That's
it
okay.
depends
Sneaking
on
can just move to Mixer like everyone else.
If I do, I'll just give Sneaky my stream key. You can do it from my channel. I don't give a fuck.
Alright then, let's continue on with this fucking shit heap, lads. The problem, as my sisters had explained to me, was the whole ordeal was a bunch of bullshit. Giving my parents a huge plot of land on the outer edge of Vale wasn't a reward. It was actually a way to force them to police the vast area for Grimm without paying them. After all, what huntsman would quietly allow whole packs of Grimm to remain on their land? Huntsmen probably wanting to train their kids to also be huntsmen. More importantly,
Let's be honest. A hermit huntsman would just be like, yeah, no, this is built-in defense system. Be great.
Keep the government and the White Fang out.
It was to keep anything that's not white out.
I hope you can feel my disappointment.
I'm pretty sure it just revels in it.
There's some fucking sirens outside my window. They're coming for me, boys. They're coming.
It's just in the next 5 minutes, we're just gonna hear the shattering of wood and screaming of "get on the ground."
I'm gonna log into my Chase Bank. All my accounts are frozen. It's over. Susan got me.
Jesus. Okay, anyway, so all that is to say, I was well out of sight of my family home as I did whatever this was. I'd been aware of this book for many, many years. You see, it was a book from my great-great-great-grandfather's time, and was said to hold the secret to his strength. Press X to doubt. That was probably why he'd written it in code and promptly never explained the key to anyone. Yes, because of course, reading this book actually is going to have the secret to being super fucking strong. I am sure no one will ever dedicate resources to cracking the code on this book besides this fucking 14-year-old shitbag that can't even get fit. You know, I'm just always going to be heavily impressed by the lengths that the authors of these fanfictions have John go to, but then simultaneously continue the Rooster Teeth tradition of having John be completely incompetent. It's like, no, guys, even though he was smart enough to crack a code that no one in the family has cracked before at the age of, 16 or whatever, with only general public schooling, he's actually still retarded. He's not even idiot savant smart. It's just he had this momentary brain blast where he just did things that are wildly outside of his IQ range, and then he went back to being
Neutron. How come Jimmy Neutron is never in these fucking crossovers? Brain blast that.
You know, I always had a theory about Jimmy Neutron is his brain blasts were actually minor aneurysms, and that he just got stupider over time.
Makes sense too if he shows up like he does the whole trans-dimensional shit. Like he could easily pop up in a fucking anime. Like, yo, what's up, dogs? I'm Jimmy Neutron. I go to the stars to buy candy bars.
Exactly.
Did one with the Fairly Odd Parents.
That
was a crossover.
That was a thing that happened, yeah.
Yeah.
That was canon too. That was canon. Remember
Neutron, Holy Grail War. Make for an interesting caster.
Jimmy Neutron versus Fairly Odd Parents Holy Grail War. Let's fucking do this.
Too. Because remember when Timmy came over and he fucked Cindy and Jimmy wasn't okay with that?
2D versus 3D. Let's do this.
I think and then you get the next plot where Jimmy kidnaps fucking Vicky and rails her, and then
the
Timmy's
real
waifu
wars.
I'm sorry, I'm just like Rin summons fucking Timmy. Why are you flat?
So then Timmy has to wish for the Holy Grail, and that's how he gets his fucking. I don't watch Fate, stay whatever the fuck. I don't know how they get their powers. I assume the Holy Grail grants them.
Yeah.
It's supposed to, yeah. That
Me knowing my fucking history.
That would be interesting. Timmy's Noble Phantasm is that stupid fucking, like, one free wish cupcake.
Yeah, but it's breaking all the rules, so Jorgen von Strangle has to show up to try to put things right.
I still don't know why the fuck they, like... It was still such a bad idea. We will give this 11-year-old a cupcake, or a muffin that grants 80 rule-free wish.
Max, the entire plot of Fairly Odd Parents is, this is a bad idea.
Oh, no, I know that. But I'm just sitting here, like, because he gets pissed off about it. It's like, what did you think would happen?
Any rule, he should have wished for something cool. Like, he should have wished for, like, Wanda to eat his ass out. To any rule-free wish, you know? Like, yo, Cosmo, what you think about this?
Oh, my...
Well,
man.
at least we know Jorp is firmly on the 2D camp.
You know.
Oh, I'll have to tell your girlfriend that she's just one dimension too much for you.
I saw Sneaky was alone in the chat, so I did a line of coke and came in to be as spicy as possible. And then like fucking 5 other people showed up, so I was like, oh yeah, we're already high as shit. Let's keep it riding.
I hereby declare my body self my Hold on, I can rectify this.
No, just... Did you just mix up another shot? God damn it.
My body self mission. Fucking.
We gotta take another, see if it fixes it?
Yes.
Oh.
Dude, we should read some Lunar Silver Star Story fan fiction.
Some what?
Woo.
Lunar Silver Star Story. It's a PlayStation game.
That explains why I never heard of it. My body shall serve. My fate shall be your sword. Submit to the beckoning of the Holy Grail. If you will submit to this will and this reason, then answer. See, now here's the thing, right? So say hypothetically, John accidentally starts the Holy Grail War. Like that like him doing the summoning accidentally Holy Grail War, right? What are the other factions? And I think he just objectively made the entire scenario of RWBY worse. Because other factions include Salem, the White Fang, Atlas, all people you really don't want to have basically walking super weapons.
Yes. On the other hand, globe-trotting Holy Grail War. Let's go. I want to see this. I want to see this in RWBY now. Congratulations, Master, you started the Grail War. I started what now? Yeah, you've got like 3 years to wrap this up. Otherwise, Remnant implodes. Why? Because the gods are really pissed off about this.
Oh, God. Anyway. But not to me, the black sheep of the family. My parents had grown rapidly disillusioned by their time as huntsmen, more than just grim, which they enjoyed hunting as a simple, stark representation of evil as they were fed up with people. The negativity that drew the grim forward was rarely the result of something petty. But, okay, wait, what? Far too often, the things that called the masked monsters were entirely man-made. Wait, but author, what you mean to say is the negativity that drew the grim forward was often the result of something petty. Because everything man-made is always petty. And that was what my parents were often forced to bear witness to as they rode into battle. That was why, for all my begging, they had never awoken my aura, never trained me. Let me fix it. boy, I sure do hate my job, and I hate having superpowers. I hate that the government has given us a large plot of land and a shitload of money. I want my son to never have to do this job, so I will intentionally never interact with him, never train him, and never offer any alternative solution to his goal of being a huntsman. Sound parenting skills. Well done.
Yeah, so far the only good thing I've seen, backstory I've seen for like, oh, why didn't John's parents train him? Because he wanted to start too late. He wanted to start at like the age of 15 and 16 rather than the age of 10.
Like, honestly, like, probably one of the best backstories you could come up with for John as to why, he's just not prepared at all is, say he went to a normal, local school at first, right?
Yeah.
He was far enough away that he could have gone to the combat school, but he had some childhood friends, and he wanted to hang out and have fun with his childhood friends. As kids do, he wanted to hang out and have fun with his childhood friends, and so he went, was schooling with them, and then around the age of maybe 15 or whatever, and they all started picking up their family's professions of carpentry or bricklaying or whatever the fuck. And his family profession was huntsmaning. And he was just like, well, shit. I want to be a huntsman, but my parents are like, kid, we tried to get you to go to the academy, but you said you wanted to be with your friends.
Yeah.
It's a bit too late.
Actually, that's honestly the weirdest thing about all of this, because I don't recall him ever saying he ran away or that he stole the sword. The only thing we know is that he had his transcripts forged, and here's the thing.
No, okay, so it's a logical conclusion.
It is, but
yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Before Pierre started training with the sword, we know that he actually is, like, buff. He does have a lean, muscular build. So that implies some amount of, like, body training, at least.
You don't have to be buff to use a sword, though. You just have to train in the way of the ninja.
Well, no, it's not even that. That's just like... No, see, the thing with John
I weigh 325 pounds, and I'm able to move as deftly as the wind and slice a bullet in half with my katana.
No, is there any point in time where that was shown? Because as far as I recall, John had piss poor stamina.
It was in season 1, either just before or just after initiation, I think.
Oh, someone's getting killed in the background.
That'd be Orf and his 29 children.
No, that would be Orf and his almost a dozen siblings.
Hey, you got a dozen siblings. Does your dad fuck?
No, they're all
I don't know about that,
children.
but I know he does drugs.
Well, then he fucks.
But no, as far as I was aware, John is about as fit as your average teen in a rural area, which is to say, he's not fat.
I would put Jean, episode 1, pretty unfavorably against Oscar when he comes in.
Okay, well,
Who's this character? What is he from?
Trying to think.
Is John
Ruby.
from what?
Yeah, Oscar's
Ruby.
a farm boy.
Yeah, Oscar's the
John
farm
from
boy
Ruby.
that
I'm gonna look him
Austin
up.
possesses.
Yeah, look, so the thing is that...
He's blonde. He's gonna lose every fight.
The problem with Canon John will eternally remain the fact that he somehow doesn't know what aura is. So you can't say, oh, he did physical training, because that implies that he actually, put effort into being a huntsman before he showed up. And
Oh, I
if
searched
he...
Oscar from Ruby on fucking Google. The first thing I got was a picture of some guy spreading his asshole.
That's
The
why...
little brown-haired boy with
Oh.
freckles. Is that the
That is
one?
a metaphor.
That's why you keep safe
Metaphorical
searching.
representation. The metaphorical representation for what Rooster Teeth has done to Monty.
That's pretty much... Yeah, actually, that's spot on.
Oof.
Yeah, no, Carden pushes him around a lot. And honestly, that's the thing, is that John basically put zero effort into learning how to be a huntsman, which makes me highly doubt that he put any effort into the other aspects of being a huntsman, such as being fit, what the word nutrition means, what is a sword, that sort of thing. So yeah, no, I'm gonna have to say John is fairly unfit. Like, to be a swordsman. He's fit in terms of he's a teenage boy living in a rural area, but not fit in terms of being a swordsman.
Thank you for your high-level look into the musculature of teenage boys.
You know what?
I, for one.
It only took 3 dissections.
Oh.
But anyway, so he's the black sheep of the family, blah blah, never did anything for me, blah blah. Already we got AU going on, because already he knows what aura is. So that's this is clearly a divergence from canon. That was why, when all other options were exhausted, really, all other options, not a single person could awaken your aura. Okay. Yeah, you tried every other option, such as literally anything else. Okay.
Maybe just, I don't know, laying a hand on someone in your family that happened to have their aura activated, because that's all it takes, apparently.
Yeah. When every wheedling attempt to have someone awaken my aura had failed, when every exercise and avenue had been taken from me. Alright. Okay. So your parents prevented you from working out as well. Okay, interesting. I don't know of any parents that I've ever even heard about that would prevent their kid from exercising. But okay, author. This is clearly something of their fantasy, where the parents prevented the kid from exercising. I turned to the book, the crazy, stupid, useless book, and proceeded to translate it that no one's ever done before. Yep, okay. And using every mortal skill in my possession, I deciphered it. It hadn't been hard. Actually, I learned it super quickly, and it was very easy, and it was surprisingly easy, because my grandfather wanted the family to translate his book, but he hadn't realized that huntsmen were actually mentally retarded, and that the entire family had been huntsmen. Every single person in my family, besides me, was a huntsman. I wasn't calling them dumb, per se. They thought fast and evaluated problems at the speed most people could not fathom, but they were fighters, warriors, knights. My sisters call it having a warrior spirit. I call it being a musclehead. I shall have dominion over all of the evils of hell, he shouts. And it turned out it was a magic book. which was foolish in a way that dwarfed even the pre-war sentiment that individuality should not be allowed. Once I figured out how to read most of it, I just about put the entire stack of papers I've been working down on in disgust. Great Gramps was a nut bar. Magic wasn't real, of course. See, this is one thing I never really got, right? So this goes for like Worm too, right? You live in a world where people, you have your standard people, right?
Yep.
And then you have special people who can leap buildings and travel as fast as sound. And this is all standard stuff. All of them can do that if they try hard enough. And they punch trees and throw boulders. And all these people that can do these special things all have their own unique ability as well. Some of them turn into rose petals and go lightning fast. Some of them eat lightning literally and become strong because of it. Some of them turn into a shadow and can teleport. And you find a book that says magic exists, and you go, magic doesn't exist.
I would just like to point out that that statement is wrong, even taking canon into account, because there are such things as, and I quote, dust spells.
Yeah. And so, just ignoring canon, just the premise in of itself doesn't have to be Ruby, doesn't have to be Worm specifically, but you live in a world where people can shoot fucking lasers from their eyes. And they, swing gardening tools around that also turn into guns that are also actually motorcycles that can shoot plasma from the wheels. And you find a book that says magic's real, do these following steps, you can cast a spell. And your reaction is, magic isn't real. It's like, what?
Yeah, Sneaky, it's this thing called perspective.
Well, yeah, but
No.
But there's Max, there's no scientific explanation for any of that.
Well, in that world, in Ruby, there allegedly is with using aura.
No, there isn't.
Yes, there is.
No, there is no scientific explanation as to
Sneaky,
what or
they
is.
can mathematically quantify a person's aura using sensors.
Yes.
They are able to explain to some degree how that works.
No, they can explain to some degree that it exists, and they can measure the energy amount. Just because we can measure the sun, Max, doesn't mean we can explain how gravity suddenly makes nuclear fusion happen. I mean, we probably can, but that's just, me using a layman's example because I couldn't.
It's a bad example.
It is a bad example.
Kind of just prove the idea that because it's normal, people just say, well, that can't be real.
Because it's normal, it can't be real.
Either of us. That doesn't help either of us.
Yeah,
I've had a long day at work.
It was a bad example. I'm drunk. You're tired.
You're drunk. Yeah. This.
Point being, it's bullshit. Whatever. Again, still though, even me, if I found some book, right, and this book's like, hey man, magic exists, I'd be like, all right, I'm a skeptical book, but I might still listen to you if the following steps actually work. I'm gonna keep my open mind on this because there's a lot of bullshit things that exist in this world, and
Okay, well, here's the thing though. Like, I actually understand the idea of like people saying magic isn't real, and like I get that because to them superhumans are a normal thing. It's just a matter of fact.
Okay, but still, semblances can't be explained.
What they should have been was Jean not throwing in disgust, being like, okay, magic is something that's not supposed to be real. So why would my grandfather go through the effort of codifying an entire book, presumably a couple hundred pages long.
No, it'd be a better thing of like, my grandfather is weird. Doesn't he realize that magic's just in fairy tales from when we didn't understand what a semblance was or something? Because like passing magic off as, oh, it was just someone's semblance, that I can believe. But being like, oh, magic doesn't exist, period. Even though we can't explain why that person over there can turn into a pile of rose petals and move at lightning speeds, even though we can't explain any aspect of science at all behind that, magic isn't real. Sure, we can measure aura, in your example, sure, we can measure aura, sure.
There is some scientific basis behind aura. Unfortunately, by our perspective, since that involves literally defining the soul, that's where it's like, okay.
Yeah, but the other thing, for Nora, for example, she gets struck by lightning, but as long as she has aura, she actually eats that lightning, and it doesn't hurt her at all, but actually makes her stronger. She doesn't have an organ that does it. She doesn't have any special traits in her DNA that make her interact with electricity different. It's just she does, because reasons. And you're gonna claim that unexplainable phenomena don't exist still? Really? I just...
I mean, here's the thing, Sneaky. We don't... okay. I'm willing to bet that there was a planned explanation behind how semblances and all that worked, but that comes because I'm an IT guy who knows that people just don't care how this Chromebook works. They just know it works. They don't care about the processes.
If I bang on the laptop, it'll just work again.
That is literally people's thought process, unfortunately.
I'm aware, but...
In fact, like,
yeah,
this is one of those things where the assumption is someone in that universe is able to scientifically explain it. We're not going to see that because we have very unreliable narrators in the forms of 17 and 18-year-old children.
I would like to point out on Max's side, there probably is some science considering Penny's existence.
Where yeah, that's right. They just made a soul. They didn't insert a soul to a machine. They made a soul.
No, we don't
she was
know
created. That. No, we were told she was created.
We were told she was created. But we also know Atlas also pioneered technology allowing you to rip the aura out of someone and stuff it in someone else. Gee, that sounds a lot like...
I'm pretty sure it was explained. Okay, this is either me having a sneaky moment and remembering something from a really well-written fan fiction.
It's a really well-written fan fiction, I can guarantee you that.
It somewhere I saw an explanation that they got the transfer machine after their experiments with creating Penny.
No, that was definitely a fan fiction, my dude.
They went hard.
Well, even if Penny's soul is not synthesized and it was simply transferred, that still means that there is, at the very least, the beginnings of scientific explanation for how to detect and touch a soul with
aura
technology.
Again, well, we always had the aura monitoring devices, and it's sort of basically like a radiation monitoring device.
Yeah, but this is different. This is something
more tangible. Yes, I'm aware. But yes, I'm aware of that. But again, the problem comes down to we still have zero information on semblances.
I won't disagree with that, because semblances don't seem to have any rhyme or reason, because on one hand it's like, oh hey, every semblance is fine-tuned to the individual based on all of these unlimited factors, and on the other hand you have the schnees who are literally, we have hereditary semblances. Which is basically metaphorically going, all of the schnees are basically minor reincarnations of Weiss's grandfather.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that it's like, oh, they're all supposed to be unique, but then there's inheritable ones, but
And I don't know if it was ever confirmed or not, but I know a pretty big fan theory was that what's his name? Yang's father has the same semblance as Yang.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's the case though, because I haven't watched past Volume 4.
I don't.
Difference. We've seen two Shnees using the glyphs. I think the only difference is like a slight cosmetic change. And
It
that's
is
it.
for the Shnees. It's a cosmetic change. I don't think we ever actually got Tai Yang's semblance.
No, we
Yeah.
were never told. All we know is that he's a very accomplished hunter who fell apart for a time and neglected his children.
Yeah, and who passed his fighting style on to Yang, which has some implications. And I don't think, were we ever told whether Willow has a semblance and if it was the glyphs? Willow being Weiss's mother.
We don't even know if that's her name.
Yeah, we don't.
That's just the accepted
that's a
fan name.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, that's an accepted fan name, I think.
Okay.
We've never seen her on screen, and at this point, the popular fan theory
Oh yeah,
is,
Also,
Ruby
the more shit that Canon Ruby has thrown at us is Atlas just casually flexes on the rest of the world by wasting colossal amounts of dust every single day to have half their city floating above the other half.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, I forgot about that. Although that does have interesting implications that dust is to some degree a renewable resource.
Possibly.
Because I know that that's a favorite plot point of, oh, we're running out of dust.
Yeah, it's almost like my theories and ideas would fill in a lot of the holes that Ruby has. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about this garbage. So let
your theories and ideas.
No, not the holes in that Ruby, the holes in this Ruby.
What, Max?
I'm sorry. I find it hard to care about your theories because I think we discussed them before. It's like everyone who wants to fix Ruby has like the same 4 out of 6 ideas.
Probably.
Do they?
I wouldn't be surprised.
It certainly feels like it. Also, I was looking through the image gallery on Benny's thing, and I just had a fucking laugh at this poster. So this is the Japanese poster for the Volume 3 Blu-ray. It actually looks pretty good, and then you look at Ruby's face, and you're like, what?
What the fuck?
It looks so weird compared to what's going on in the back. Like, I know what it's supposed to be, but the art style just makes it look like
Salem is just casually snapping her neck in the background.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wonder, has Japan fallen out of love with Ruby? Because they were really enjoying an American-made anime.
I wouldn't be surprised if they got if they did fall out of love with the Ruby, because I really don't follow any of the Japan stuff. So I couldn't tell you.
I will say this: like the mangas are quite a bit more fun to read because they're mostly just side stories, and they usually have decent art. But
anyway,
otherwise, I don't know.
And I'm relatively sure the manga actually fixed some of Ruby's plot holes, didn't it? At the very least, some of the characterizations.
They just started a new run of a Ruby manga a few months back, and it was also around the time where Shonen Jump's like, "Hey guys, we're done with our subscription model here in the States." So,
well, I remember reading something about how it did some fixes to Blake's inconsistent characterization, Volume 1, and made Ruby less Ruby.
Well, the problem there is by saying that Blake had an inconsistent characterization is implying that Blake had a character to be inconsistent about.
Well, no, she did though, because she was like, for part of the series, she was like supposed to be this like edgy Sue that was really mysterious, and then you have like scenes when Weiss is fighting the Borbatesk where she's just like the comic relief character.
Yeah, we call that bad pacing and bad writing.
Yeah,
and honestly, I think what makes that all the stranger is, I think Miles was put in charge of Red versus Blue writing at one point, and it was
He
actually
was.
pretty good as a start. Like at the start, he actually proved to be a pretty
Well, see,
consistent.
that's because Red versus Blue is an action comedy. And the problem is that Ruby isn't an action comedy. Ruby was supposed to be a slice of life action adventure.
I think it goes a little bit more deeper than that, though.
It's
Because
almost like if you
Miles,
allow one person to write something and not throw 3 trannies in a room with some markers, you'll actually get a decent story.
well, not just
It's
that.
almost like that, yeah.
Miles and Carrie aren't I don't think they're invested in Ruby the way they were invested in Red versus Blue.
That's
'Cause
fair
it
enough
was-
as well, yeah.
It's Monty's thing. That's why Monty
Yeah.
put so much work into it. But Red versus Blue is more. It's not necessarily Miles
It's the
and
Rooster Teeth
Carrie's
thing.
thing.
Red
I
versus
don't think
Blue
Carrie even-
is... Red
So they
versus...
have-
Carrie handled writing for it at all, actually.
Well, Red versus Blue is the cornerstone of Rooster Teeth.
It's their group project.
Yeah.
Yeah, ostensibly, yeah.
So everyone is a check and balance for everyone else, so less shit can get through.
Yeah, it's just they just need to reboot Ruby. Like, holy shit, it is. Oh, but anyway, let's get this fucking thing over so we can move on to something else. Anyway, blah blah blah. Magic isn't real. If you didn't understand how dust and aura worked, and you really don't, either separately or in concert, you might be fooled into believing magic was real. But I grew up around Huntsman, so I know all about dust and aura.
Didn't his parents refuse to train him?
Yes.
Or teach him.
And his
Anything.
parents also pressured literally everyone else with aura to also not train him. Only apparently none of this mattered, as I had less than a month before mission to Beacon Academy. Less than a month to figure out how to use aura, learn how to fight, and then fake my way in.
This John is much more level-headed than Canon.
Yep, it's already massively AU because John already knows about aura.
God, you're right.
And actually cares about preparing.
Sean is actually being shown preparing to enter Beacon, even if it is illegally. Massive AU.
That oh boy, and the next sentence after that's me like, whoa, hang on a second. Why is John the odd man out of the siblings?
You see, because he is male, and reasons and stuff, therefore reasons and stuff.
Therefore, everyone else gets to have aura to protect themselves, in the case of the literal unending horde of nightmares that are probably going to attack at any moment. Because
Actually, no, that's wow, I can't... You saying that just made me realize another plot hole with the whole John doesn't have aura thing. So if the rest of his family... So, I mean, obviously they aren't. Because his older sister that was brought up in, was it season 6 or whatever, isn't a huntsman, and she didn't have her aura awakened. But in all of these fan fictions, where they always make all of John's sisters all be huntsmen or huntsmen in training, John not having aura is actually a bigger danger than him having aura. Because if you're living in a household where you have 2 huntsman parents and 7 huntsman sisters, and they all have their aura awakened, Grimm are going to be attracted to that location far more regularly. Which means him not having aura actually puts him in greater danger than him having aura.
The only time I've seen that handled well was, oddly enough, in a Naruto Ruby crossover. And it was like all 7 of his older sisters were basically OP SIs. And they freaked the fuck
all
out.
Reincarnated isekai protagonists.
That's the power level we're talking about. Like, one of these girls was like a child mad scientist that was on par with Orochimaru as an 8 or 9-year-old. Like that's the level we're talking about. And so it's just like, but they all like kind of melted around Jean because he was the youngest sibling. He was the little brother. And so they specifically refused to give him aura because they didn't want him to become a huntsman so that they could protect him forever. And it was kind of like the not quite yandere incest, but basically implied.
Hang on.
We want you to
relationship.
be we want you to be the temperature dependent on us forever, sort of thing. Okay, yeah.
Are we
Yeah,
talking
and then,
about
you know-
Arc of the Revolution?
I don't know. It's the one where Naruto and Gaara get
Oh, we're talking about a cross.
comed.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. 'Cause
it
there's
was- yeah, and
there's
then-
a very well written Ruby fic called Arc of the Revolution. I'm pretty sure it died after Volume 5.
It did.
Yeah, I don't remember what this one was called. It was like
Look,
all the Jinchuriki
Volume
got
5 and 6 basically slaughtered half or
All of the
more
good writers.
of the Ruby fandom in terms of fanfiction writers. Like, literally, it was like a Soviet massacre for the Ruby fandom.
I was part of that.
And then there's Core chugging along, taking what
Well,
little
okay,
bits and
look,
pieces he
dude,
knows
if I
about
was
and
being
not
paid
actually-
$4,000 a month, I would still be writing Ruby fanfic too, no matter how bad the series
Look, Sneaky, if I was getting paid $1 a month, I would continue writing Ruby no matter how bad it got. I just need someone to be invested. That's all it requires.
Oh, God. Like, you know, you can't really use a guy who is being paid a literal living wage as an example as an author that wasn't pushed away from the Ruby
I
fandom.
feel like $4,000 a month is a little
except-
bit more than a living wage.
He's actually not being paid to write.
I know,
fanfiction.
he-
He's paid for lessons and
Well-
writing an actual book.
Yes, that's true. But no, he's
It's
actually lost quite a bit. It went from during peak Ruby, he was around $4,000, but recently he's lost around $2,000 from that. It's like hovering between like 1,800 and like 2,400 last I checked.
That is still quite a bit of money, and I
Yes,
don't know
it-
whether Patreon takes taxes out.
That
Yeah,
that is no, they probably
They don't.
Of course, I don't know
Patreon
how
does not.
taxing
You have
works
to
over-
manually do that yourself.
Yeah, you would report it as freelance taxes here in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Which even still though, like even with them taking their 30%, that's still like 1,600 to 1,700 a month you've got.
Yeah, which is
Actually,
okay for
the money displayed on the public-facing number is the post Patreon cut number.
So he's getting even more than that.
Technically speaking, yes, he's getting more than that, but what we see is what he's actually getting.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm just kind of hoping at some point he publishes an actual book because I'd be down to see what he comes up with for original
Yeah, I know,
fiction.
right?
It's one
Or
of those
he
things,
could
like, I'm a bit more lax on original fiction than fan fiction.
Well, so that's the thing when it comes to fan fiction is that when you're doing fan fiction, you're playing with a set of pre-colored blocks, basically. You know,
Yeah, you're taking a set of Legos and flying around with them.
not even that. It's more
It's-
like
It's like you've got a Lego set.
no, not even that. Because I mean, you can still build some weird shit even with like a Star Wars Lego set that doesn't look anything like Star Wars. Like,
Yeah, well,
Mhm.
fan fiction is taking the Lego set and sticking like mighty blocks in there.
I was gonna say some authors take the Lego set and stick fucking Lincoln Logs in. For as much sense as their stories fucking make.
Oh, fuck, that was mean.
I'm not,
It's not
wrong
untrue,
though.
though.
I speak only the truth.
So we've got people like Core, who are just like sticking in, the generic Lego brand set that's not really Lego, but it is technically distinct.
But no, a more accurate representation though of what fan fiction really is you ever get those color by number books, basically, where it's like, hey, here's an already drawn picture, you can color it in with whatever colors you want, basically. And you have you have your standard ones where people just basically do the actual colors, and maybe they mess up here or there. They make them do a V sign or whatever. And then you have your odd ones out that are like, what if everyone was just purple and the sky's pink and the grass is actually orange? And then you have your really creative people who are just like, yeah, so that's cool, normal image and all, but then they like decide to do some massively freeform, super creative shit in the background, and that's fan fiction, because you already have a set rule book of what you're supposed to be doing, because it is a fandom. It's already established, And when you start coloring outside of the lines and you kind of just do it haphazardly, it looks like shit. So it's a really accurate summation of most fan fiction, where everyone kind of just takes the crayon and just eats it.
Yep. Yep, sounds about right.
Hey guys, I know you all love Naruto, but what if Naruto didn't have chakra, was actually in the 1900s in America, was madly in love with Sasuke, and he's a Chicago gangster in Florida? Wow, that sounds so much like the Naruto I came here to read. But
or just Konoha High School.
Yeah, or high school AU. Yeah. Anyway, so John's getting ready to break into Beacon and totally fake it till he makes it. He's putting everything into this ritual possible. He pumped himself with questionable substances. Wait, really?
Is that part of the ritual?
Oh, okay, no, he's doing the ritual before he takes cocaine and dies in an alleyway.
All right.
That's his actual final plan. If this ritual doesn't work, he's just gonna go OD. I can respect that.
I mean, snorting dust seems like it'll get you high, probably.
If Ruby was more realistic, I'm pretty sure someone's already made a drug out of Grim.
Oh, probably. Just like, oh, look at that. I just have to shoot it in the head and all this substance. I wonder if I can make some money off of
Grim
this.
ash or some shit, and people snort it or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway. The book indicated I should finish the ritual as the moon reaches its peak, but I'm not an astrologer, and more importantly, the moon is half detonated. That's a fair point, actually.
That is... Do we know when the moon got detonated?
Yeah,
we
you don't know. Oh boy.
So, yes, we the audience know how the moon blew up. So when all the humans got together and said they didn't want to be controlled by the gods anymore, and they all wanted power and shit, and they went to the gods and were like, hey gods, fuck you, we kind of don't want you anymore, also give us your powers. And the gods said, no, actually, Uno reverse card. I'm not even kidding about that, by the way.
Yeah, they wiped humanity.
So the god of Grim was like, actually, I'm gonna be a little bitch and throw a temper tantrum, and lasers the moon.
No. He doesn't laser the moon, Sneaky. On their way out the solar system, he decides to shoulder bump the moon.
No, he lasers the moon.
No, he just flies by it, I think.
No, he straight up just shoots the moon with a I'm a firing my laser.
Are you sure you're not
Yeah,
thinking of Dragon
They
Ball?
never showed us them flying out of the solar system. They just kind of left into the sky. Like, no, he straight up was like, boom, humanity's extinct. Also, fuck the moon. And then he left. Yeah. No, it was
The
the
moon
most.
is a natural satellite in orbit around Remnant. It was partially shattered when the God of Darkness crashed through it.
Okay. So
Yeah,
it
that's
wasn't
what
a
I
shoulder
thought.
bump, but it was still a fuck the moon.
Okay,
Yeah,
listen,
no, I
for a
think
god,
I
it basically
see.
was a shoulder bump. Let's be honest.
I think I see why you think that. Because when the God of Darkness flew through the moon, it looks like an orbital laser.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm
So
glad to know that Sneaky's memory is still shittier than mine.
well, no, it was still a giant laser-looking animation. It was just I was wrong in the fact that he didn't shoot out of his mouth. He just went so fast, he looked like a laser.
Yeah.
Honestly, the way that entire scene was framed, it honestly felt like it was an afterthought. Like, they don't deserve this moon.
It's like, fuck you guys! You guys don't get magic anymore. You can all eat shit. Also, extinction event. Boom. Let's get out of here. Oh wait, right. And fuck your moon.
Title patterns. What are those?
It's like that Dave Chappelle skit where it's like, fuck you, fuck your family, fuck your species, and fuck your moon.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And it's just it's probably the least climactic way they could have A, revealed the fact that's what happened to the moon, and B, have it happen to the moon.
Listen, sometimes that bright ball in the sky is just in the way.
Sometimes you just have to yeet moons.
What, what if they had gone the opposite way and just flew through the sun?
Two extinction events.
Just
That's what
fucking
happened.
hole through the sun. Causes solar collapse.
Oh man.
That just seems like a pretty big nuclear explosion. That's it. Let's just nuclear fission this nuclear fusion device.
Oh god, but no, yeah, it was just so bad. Yeah, it was awful. Anyway, so blah blah blah. I wasn't expecting much. Blah blah. I'm cold. Blah blah. It's damp. Blah blah. Candles. Blah 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 blah. I'm aching. I'm spasming. I'm having an aneurysm. There's a hot iron rod being jammed down my spine. He's awakening his magic circuits by doing something that required magic.
Seems about right.
Oh yeah, also he botched the ritual and turned himself into a pseudo-servant. Or something.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care. When I woke up, lights, spotlights, candles, I had a seizure. I gave myself a seizure. OMG, all of them were superpowered killing machines and were bloodhounds, and they would track me down. I picked myself up off the ground, and blah blah, blah blah, magic circle, blah blah, and a voice rang out, and it's Archer from Fate Stay Night.
Is it?
Yeah, his skin was dark tan, and his hair is white as snow, and he's wearing a red coat thing. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
it's Archer.
I wouldn't know that he's wearing. Say he's wearing iron boots, but okay.
Massive black
steel-toed
boots. Yeah. He looked
Well,
had
yeah,
this
well,
look on
they're
his
definitely
face that said, "I think you're a moron." You might be channeling a bit too much Fate Stay Abridged there, my fam.
Just a little bit.
Oh boy, I see. I made the joke, and then the author follows up with, "Did I summon a demon? Are you Satan?" I made the joke that he was watching too much Fate Abridged, and then he made, and then he went and made the reference. Anyway, so blah blah blah. Servant Archer here's to call my master. I'm here to wield for the coming war. Wait, you said servant. What does that entail? I did summon you. I'm not a maid, if that's what you're asking. I'm a servant, which is a heroic spirit on the throne of heroes. So you're a legendary badass. I can't say I know of anyone from the Great War named Archer. Archer's not my name, it's my class. Look, I have no idea what's going on. Yesterday I thought magic was bullshit. Assume everything is you explained to a child. Don't be a shitter about it. Fine, magic isn't bullshit. Wealthy families all know about it. Blah blah. Every 60 years, 7 masters are chosen for the Holy Grail to summon 7 servants. Servants are powerful. Blah blah blah. Holy Grail War. Fate's Day Night version. Blah 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 blah. I don't know what King Arthur is. That seemed to stop Archer. Wait. Author. The Holy Grail, upon a servant being summoned, imparts upon the servant all the information they need to know about the Holy Grail War and the times and places they are currently in.
Yes.
This is important. So, say a servant served in a previous Holy Grail War who had this information imparted upon him and knows what it's like and knows what it feels like, was, say, summoned again outside of a Holy Grail War. He would know that because he would know that the information was not being imparted on him. And he would know that as well because he would know the difference between being fed mana from, say, a person who has low quality circuits and, say, a holy artifact of infinite power.
A little bit of a
Yeah, it
difference.
should also be noted this servant is part of the counterforce,
Yeah,
and would probably notice, hey, I can't feel that bitch in my head.
that too. But, it's a possible. We're going with the hypothetical that it's not a fusion and that it was just a remnant, just a post-apocalyptia of the Fate verse. So we're going to be the most generous possible here.
Yeah.
Archer would know that he wasn't summoned by the Holy Grail. Specifically Archer. Any other servant might not know that. But you picked the one servant that is guaranteed to know the difference. And you
Between
failed.
being summoned during a Grail War and not.
And you failed at writing it. Congratulations. Now, that is definitely gold star worthy in that you picked the one thing that was different and managed to fuck it up.
Yeah. The only way this would work is if it was a younger version of Emmy, and even then, because of the way the Grail works, or the way the Throne of Heroes works, this would this would literally have to take place before any other Grail War he's been in,
Yes.
due to the way his memories work,
Yep.
thanks to his reality marbles. So,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
man, Fate Grand Order really fucks with a lot of canon.
Yep. What planet is this? He spreads his arms. The world of Remnant. See, Why would Emiya ask that? Because the Throne of Heroes is unique to one planet, Gaia. Now, admittedly, if humanity, say, spread across the stars, the idea of a throne of heroes where the heroes go to rest possibly could spread with them.
The only
But
area
why
that
would that
go
matter?
is the only place that would go to is the moon.
Yeah.
And even then, the moon's not a planet; it's a satellite.
But
Yeah,
even still, even given Sneaky's hypothetical, why would it matter?
Yeah, exactly. Why does it matter what planet we're on? I don't know. I don't know why you would ask that question either. Why is it important that you know what planet you're on? Is it because you can't feel Gaia?
If
You could have easily found that out.
If they were to set the reasons at least,
Well, like
because
supposedly, according to the light novels here, it's very easy to tell when Gaia is active and fighting against your mysteries. Very easy. Because you feel it.
no, since he's been summoned to a completely different world, he's probably not being constantly destroyed and regenerated.
And rejected, yeah.
Yeah,
So he would know that he's
He
not
probably should have noticed
Gaia.
that from the
Yeah.
start.
Yeah. So
There's a lot of things that
there's a
should
lot
be
here
noticed.
that the author's fucking up. Like, it's a very simple thing that even someone who only did Fate Stay Night and then they watched Unlimited Blade Works by UFO Table, even I
They
know
would
this
only have
information.
had to have watched the anime.
Yeah,
That's
like
it.
literally base level knowledge here. Like I don't even wiki dive. I don't even play Grand Order.
In fact,
I knew this shit.
if he had watched the abridged series drops a line that the anime doesn't drop, which is the whole, oh yeah, I can't hear you over constantly being rejected by the Earth itself.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, is that why you need a body? Yeah, that's why. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just like.
In fact, no matter what servant he summoned, one of the first things should be, huh, that's weird. I'm not. I don't have something trying to destroy me at this moment.
Like, literally just.
And in fact, no.
How do
most
you
servants-
fail on every tier? Like, failed at John, failed at the setup for John, failed at John's family, failed at the premise, failed at the summoning, failed at the character being summoned, failed at the world setting.
Yeah, it just occurred to me, Sneaky. There are like 6 servants that would be too stupid to realize they weren't summoned for a Grail War.
Nobu.
Mia's not one of them.
Look,
Mia's not one of
Sneaky.
Yeah.
The author is simply channeling his inner Jean.
Of course, he had to identify. Of course. That's how he so accurately writes John. And by accurately writes John, I mean wildly inaccurately writes John.
Look. Jean is a very hard character to get correctly because you have to be very incompetent at every turn, which this author is clearly capable of doing.
Okay, hold on. John is actually very easy to write. You just go, what would someone who has 60 IQ do? And then you write that.
I don't think that's very fair. Jean can read.
Can he?
Yeah. We know for a fact that
you have to keep in mind, Orf.
Mm-hmm.
He reads comic books about a superpowered huntsman saving the day, but he doesn't know what aura is. So, can he read?
He can read. However, whether or not he understands that the comic is reflecting real life, or at least what real life is for him, is something entirely different. It is possible that he has read comics and played games for his entire life and does not associate the powers that his heroes possess and the powers that huntsmen possess.
That is true. However, because humans are uncreative to the extreme, to the point where we call the world's largest desert, desert, and the world's largest river, river, we would call the source of superpowers in games, in comic books and movies, aura. We wouldn't make up a new name for their source of power. We're too uncreative for that. We would just call it aura.
That is probably true. But Jean doesn't know what aura is, remember.
Yes, he doesn't know what aura is.
I mean, to be fair, if someone was like, do you have aura? And the only thing you have, the only thought that is represented in your head is what you see in comics.
Mhm.
Your first thought isn't, oh, hey, I can do everything.
No, I'm not saying it would be. But what you would say then is, you mean like in the comics.
Yeah.
But he doesn't say that. He goes, what is aura? Which leads me to believe that he can't read. He just looks at comics for the pretty pictures.
That is also possible.
Oh.
However, he does have to be able to read, though, because he forged his documents.
Yeah, but he
No.
never actually read what was on the documents, my dude.
To be fair, he could have paid someone to forge those.
That is true. He could have paid, which probably would have cost a lot of money. We're not actually sure how much he has. Like, not counting his parents, because you can have wealthy parents and then them just, like, not give you anything. Unless he's just, increasing his felonies by grand larcening his own parents.
Well, I mean, he does have 60 IQ.
Well, that was a fascinating thing to walk back in on.
And they are very crime prone. So it is entirely possible he did grand larceny to fund his fraud and embezzlement.
I
Pedro's
see.
trying to correct you in the chat, Sneaky.
I appreciate Pedro correcting me, but that still doesn't change the fact that we have a massively large river called River.
Apparently, Amazon doesn't mean river.
I know. I've been corrected on that one. It's not the world's largest river, but we still have a river called River.
I mean, the Rio Grande literally just means big river, so your point is still well taken.
Yeah. So
I would say there's a lot of stuff that is not creatively named throughout the history of the world.
that's what my point was, is that the largest desert is called Desert. We're not really good at naming things.
No, we're incredibly good at making them simple. That's what you're forgetting.
Look, Sneaky, everyone has to be able to know what it is when you translate it into the proper language.
Yes,
sometimes people are so dense that you have to say things twice.
This here is the wall, as opposed to the not wall.
It's the Great Wall. Walla Walla Bing Bong.
Sneaky,
I
you have to
passed out
have
for a little
some
while during that
sympathy.
soy discussion. Did we ever get off that one discussion?
I have no idea what you're talking about, but now we're talking about River.
Who? River.
Yes. Anyway, you were saying, Orf?
Right. You have to have some sympathy for people that are dense, as terrible as you were in high school and still are.
I have zero sympathy for dense people.
You do?
You see, the bar for everyone else.
One of them.
You see, the bar for everyone else is me. I'm the bar. Everyone should be above that.
I feel like this podcast is not the best for your psyche then.
I mean, Sneaky shouldn't be hosting podcasts in the first place.
At this level
When
of
he's sober,
inebriation.
let alone when he's drunk.
No, speak. Anyway, So blah blah blah. My name is the author, and I'm stupid and dumb, and I don't know how to do things. And then remember that part where I talked about how you have to be a really incompetent huntsman to ever let Grim live on your property? Well, there's Grim on the property now.
Not only are there Grim on the property, they are in fact dancing an Irish jig.
Yes. They actually learned how to Irish river dance. That's how they snuck onto the property. Is they disguised themselves as a roaming troupe of clowns.
Oh no, not the Roman clown!
The Roman clown.
1 second.
Ave Kaiser. Oi, send me some prana so I can materialize. Wait, isn't he already materialized? But you also
He was
you just
a second ago.
you just described him in exacting detail.
Maybe he's simply a figment of Jean's imagination at this point.
Oh,
He has
John,
not-
you are the demons.
Blah blah blah. I don't know what prana is. Blah blah. I could never awaken my aura. I performed physical exercise in passing, but I always assumed it wasn't worth working out until I figured out what aura was.
Ah, yes. We live in a post-apocalyptic, grimdark, unending terror. Let me just not make sure
I
I'm in
want to
top
be a
shape.
huntsman. I want to no, because keep in mind this is an AU where John also knows about aura, has set his goal very early on to be a huntsman, and knows he's supposed to be physically fit for it, but goes, I do not need to be physically fit until I unlock my aura because clearly reasons and stuff.
Yep.
Well, also, doesn't aura like unlock if you hit enough trauma? I feel like if you really
Yes,
worked hard at
that
it,
would be the assumption.
if you really worked out very hard, like
Yeah.
we're
Also,
talking
you
into
that's actually
exhaustion.
another thing. It's actually another thing. You mentioned that you would think trauma because someone had to unlock aura at first, unless we're assuming that Ozpin is the origin of all aura ever.
I mean, Ozpin is basically the sixth path sage, anyways.
Yeah. So
may as well.
So if trauma unlocks aura, you're sailing. You're John. You're mildly retarded.
First of all, you're sailing dangerously close to worm territory.
So you're John. You are mildly retarded, and your school professor, headmaster, has just launched you off the side of a cliff using a catapult. And as you're sailing through the air, meeting your impending doom by the hands of gravity eventually, because you both have not a landing strategy or any means of slowing yourself down, a spear comes soaring at you through the air, impaling you nearly, and sending you rocketing into the nearby tree. And at no point that's considered traumatic enough?
See, he knew it was a friendly spear.
No, he was screaming his head off the entire time.
Yeah, including when he was suspended, like 50 feet in the air. That feels like it should be a little traumatic.
Listen, he's intimately connected to spears. He knows all about them, and which ones mean him harm and which ones are friendly.
Of course.
Or at
And
least
the
if
friendly
you read
ones
half
will
the, I would say at
simply-
least if you read half the fanfiction on this website anyway.
Okay. So, alright. So what you're telling me is that's actually his semblance all along. The whole healing aura thing was actual magic.
Yes.
Yeah,
He's a
his
direct
actual
descendant-
semblance
he's
is
a
to
direct
talk to
descendant of
inanimate
Cosmo.
objects.
That must be it.
All right, you know what? Joking aside, for real, I would read that. Like, John just picks up Ruby's scythe. What the fuck?
Why
Yeah,
do
he
I
just-
know
he
how
just-
to use this?
She did
Talks-
what? With a what? And with you?
Imagine.
Yeah,
So the author then proceeds to give a completely bastardized explanation of how to use magic, the Shiro V1 way, and so he does that by gathering his energy feelings into his fists, and then he cocks his mental gun and fires them.
I was gonna say, just for the record, what kind of crossover hell did I walk into here?
This is a Fate Stay Night Ruby crossover where
Oh no!
Hyper AU John and a completely unbelievable premise, and I mean literally unbelievable,
Yeah.
discovers a book that no one ever translated before because huntsmen, according to John, are mentally handicapped. And because he's not a huntsman, he is therefore not mentally handicapped and was able to translate this book that no one ever seemed to be able to translate. And
quite easily. Don't
yes,
forget that
very
part.
easily too. And then he proceeded to do the ritual listed in the book
I
without.
would say, by the way, when that kind of stuff comes up, I would literally actually prefer if the author just said, "Magic, suck it."
And then the author proceeded to describe how John did the servant summoning ritual without his magic circuits open. And he summoned Archer from Fate Stay Night.
Ah, yes, just what Ruby needed. Goddamn Shiro Edgelord Emiya.
Yeah, and so doing the summoning ritual actually opened his magic circuits, because that's how that works.
No. You know
And
how work.
Well, it is how it works, but it's how you kill yourself.
yes,
Yeah, okay, yes.
It's
And,
it's a version that it's a version that by all rights should either kill you or make a fake circuit.
well, see, the problem is that Shiro Emiya had something we call motherfucking Avalon.
Yeah, well,
And
see, here's the thing. Here's what I was literally about to say. If this was like Season 7 John, who had a magic healing power,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah,
dead John.
yep. So yeah, basically just generally stupid shit, and so blah blah blah, and then the pain started because he used a nerve ending to put prana into his fist to cock his mental gun, and he had a heart attack and a seizure at the same time, and it felt like broken glass was being dragged on every single nerve of his body. And he was pretty sure this isn't how aura works. Yeah, John, it's not how aura works, because Archer specifically called it prana, which sounds a lot like not the word aura. Hey, can I have a glass of that water over there? Yeah, sure, here you go. Have some vodka. Glug, glug, glug. Wow, this doesn't taste like water.
Okay, hold on a minute. If it's you, that's an easy mistake.
No, I know very much what alcohol tastes like.
I was saying, never mind. Anyway, look, yes, point is, he is correct about that.
It's like, yeah, I called it vodka. What made you thought that was water?
I could really use some water. Here's a glass of sulfuric acid. That sounds right.
Yo, wow, it looks like water and everything. Glug, glug, glug. Oh, and this hurts.
Ah, the burning. The horrible burning.
That's what you get out of a normal glass of water. The horrible internal bleeding.
I mean, if you drink Vermont's water, you might think that.
Oh, God. I know.
Wait, you're telling me you didn't want the water to taste like pure iron?
And, so as John's having a seizure and a heart attack, his body starts moving and talking on his own. And, yeah, so it turns out that Emiya is actually haunting John, and that whenever he materializes Emiya, he's actually turning his body into a pseudo-servant.
course.
Yeah,
Is
duh.
But
is he
why
going
did...
magical girl? Is that what you just said?
Basically, yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
but
Okay, magical girl Jean. Here
Yep.
we go.
then why did we have Emiya actually materialized earlier? I don't...
Well, you see, because the author wanted to make sure everyone knew who exactly John summoned.
Look. The author was just putting more emphasis on the spirit than the heroic.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so John, as the pseudo servant, goes yeet on the Beowulfs, and then he ran out of energy and fell over, screaming in pain, and blacked out again. And then he says, "What was that?" I bit out in ragged breaths. "I had to open your magical circuits. You're lucky without a proper preparation. That's usually fatal." "What? You really messed up my summoning, by the way. I had used most of my own prana to keep the possession going. Apparently I don't have a body, and I can only use yours." "What? I'll have to rest for a bit to recuperate now, Master. Try not to die until I wake up." "What? What?" I scrambled to my feet and immediately began searching for Archer. I wasn't stupid. I could feel his shit-eating grin. "Archer, what's a magic circuit?" You know, it's very interesting that John supposedly translates this whole book about magic. And at no point in time does this book that requires magic talk about, because keep in mind, this is a book written by his grandfather for future generations to learn from.
Why would he not write it in plain English?
He
for
wrote it in
argument's sake?
code because reasons. And so John translates this book, and at no point in time in this entire translated version of the book does the word magic circuit ever come up, does the word prana ever come up. But it definitely tells you the ritual on how to use your magic circuits to summon prana to do the ritual.
You know,
wait.
maybe his his grandfather's thought process was, if they're strong enough to survive just busting out the summoning ritual, they should live. Otherwise, they should die.
You know, that
This is
isn't that.
some
Yeah,
real-
That's possible. That's possible, except for the small little part where
His
they
grandfather
they
probably
need
wasn't a
magic.
magus.
They need magic to do the ritual.
Then I have no idea. Fuck you.
See, I was just gonna point out that the odds of his grandfather being a magus are pretty low, since that wasn't the family job,
Yeah.
apparently. Because a magus would totally be like, well, if they can't survive it, fuck them. They're not useful to the family.
Anyway,
there have
so
been-
yeah, we're Bianca, John, great grandpa. I fell asleep on a log. You're covered in grass stains and bruises. Were you running from something? What happened, John? There was a Beowulf. I ran away from it. Blah
Also,
blah.
by
Go
the
do
way-
the chores for everyone. You need to go clean up the house, slave.
Also, his sister's apparently super fucking tall.
Yes. And let's
That voice
see.
is
Blah blah
definitely
blah blah. You're safe now. That's all that matters. I went inside and did a bunch of shit that I don't care about. And I felt the energy that Archer was talking about, reinforcing my bones now and my muscles. He's doing untrained reinforcement.
Also, he recognizes such a feeling because he definitely has past experience with that, so he knows exactly what it is.
Not only that, not only does he feel this energy moving around, and not only can he do untrained reinforcement with no negative consequences, he also knows it's definitely not aura, because he knows what aura feels like. I mean, think on that one.
Mm-hmm. Well, not to mention, like, all of the things that Jean has commented on feeling so far have been seizures and basically pseudo strokes and glass being dragged across his flesh. How does he have past experience with these things?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you would think, yeah.
Apparently, at some point in his life, he punched a window.
Uh,
For some
Or his
reason.
family is super abusive and just like physically tortures him with glass.
so, how do you guys feel about Konosuba?
Do you
Uh,
want to
take it or leave it.
Well, I know the premise of Konosuba.
Konosuba
Mhm.
is very much a take it or leave it comedy show for
Mhm.
people.
I-
1 second.
How do you guys feel about Konosuba fanfiction? Because, boy, is it a shit show.
I have not read any. I personally enjoy the anime, but I feel like the fanfiction's gonna
I'm gonna stay away. I don't know
be
that I
really
want to look
terrible.
fan fiction. Yeah, I'm with Orph on this.
You,
I don't
you
see
sure?
anyone doing it
How
better.
about X marks the spot? X marks
Oh,
his
that
spot. X
That
is
one.
different character. Probably unnamed hero brought into world to fight Demon King. He is virgin, but it will change soon.
Fan
It
fiction
doesn't that
rated-
sound interesting?
rated M. Herod.
Doesn't that sound riveting?
That sounds like you want to get your channel taken down.
Yeah, so you know what we're gonna do instead? We are going to do we get so many possibilities. Let's see, Naruto, Worm, My Hero.
Oh, let's just do
Harry
Worm My
Potter?
Hero. Low hanging fruit,
Ah.
Sneaky. Low hanging fruit.
Here we go, the lowest of low hanging fruit.
It should be good.
Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, Isekai.
Which way is this isekai going?
Yes.
Well, because here's the
Yes.
thing, right? Someone going from Harry Potter to Game of Thrones sucks. Someone going from Game of Thrones to Harry Potter, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that could be pretty interesting.
Oh, no, I mean in terms of life improvement.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, okay. I feel like we should caveat that by saying Harry dying before he goes to Hogwarts and getting isekai into Game of Thrones is probably an improvement. Just considering how bad the Dursleys are.
God fucking
Well,
damn it, Tension.
uh,
Tension, you're being muted.
How does magic work in Game of Thrones? Is there? I assume there's magic, but
Okay, so this is
Um,
I'm going to explain the very intricate and delicate magic system in Game of Thrones. Yes.
People get resurrected.
Okay, so it's basically just this on the same level of Harry Potter, but no need for wands or fancy words.
Also, it's very weak and human sacrifices or whatever, but sometimes that doesn't work and sometimes you don't need it.
Oh, okay, so it's just a
So
giant
it's-
gotcha game.
So it's basically like
Also, sometimes you can do unrealistic, completely disproportionate acts of magic that at no point in time were ever established as being possible beforehand. And in fact, in previous iterations of discussions, the magic you just performed was in fact said to be impossible. But we're just going to ignore that.
this just sounds like Martin looked at Greek mythology and was like, "That seems like a good magic system."
Pretty much.
I
So
like it.
anyway, this is a song of ice, fire, and lightning.
Oh, lovely. With the pun titles.
I'm not going to lie. This sounds far more like a fairy tale crossover with Game of Thrones rather than.
You would
Which,
think that.
see,
Potter.
now that would be
That's-
something that I think would be fun to see. Just see the absolutely overpowered nonsense of someone like oh no, the Ice Lord is here. Fire punch.
Well, that's not normal.
I mean, all of the dragons
Look,
kind of become useless
all
once
I'm
Natsu
saying-
arrives.
All I'm saying
Insert any Dragon Slayer in there.
is a Breloom could solve pretty much all of the problems in Game of Thrones.
Mach Punch. Fuck
Fire
you.
punch,
It's sad
ice punch,
because
lightning
you're
punch,
right.
Mach punch.
I want to bully my way through this playthrough. What should I get? Get a Breloom, okay, and get it Mach Punch. Okay.
Fuck Breloom with Mach punch.
No, guys, just get me a Dragonair,
Oh god.
and
It's
I will
like,
solve.
shit, what was it? Oh yeah, that's right. It was Omega Ruby. It's like Omega Ruby and using bulldoze. It's like, oh, how do I win this by using only one move? See, what you gotta do is you gotta get that water starter and teach it bulldoze, and then you basically win the game.
You may proceed to laugh.
It's like Gen 1 Earthquake.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Honestly, I want to win this fight, Earthquake. But,
To be fair, that was Earthquake was the same way in Gen 2.
that is true.
Because they were
Earthquake was
like,
just insanely strong.
I still remember double battles in Emerald where I would just have a flying in my second slot and Earthquake as my first move. And just be like, double battle? Earthquake!
honestly, I still cannot be convinced that the entire ability system and the introduction of Levitate was not just to nerf Earthquake.
Oh, it
It had to
absolutely
have been.
was.
It's like, we're going to add an entirely new dimension of strategy to this game. Why? To make it more attractive, make it more interesting? No, because Earthquake is fucking terrible.
Hey
We're
guys,
finally
what if we
giving a shit about
basically made
balancing
Mew?
this game.
What if we
Oh,
basically
it's
made
adorable.
Mew, but as a Pokemon that everyone could capture? And it's also basically a human as well, and everyone's gonna call it a waifu. What should we call it? Let's call it Gardevoir. Yeah, Gardevoir can learn every single move in the game except for the 5 PP moves. And on top of that, Gardevoir also has the highest special attack in the game as far as up until Black and White. So, yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Talk to Jorup
I'm-
about tournaments. You know, I actually saved the Pokemon talk
Oh,
until
I
after
think-
Jorp left.
I think Atin's internet just went out.
I specifically waited for him to leave so we could
And
actually
Jorp
talk
has
about it.
replaced
and move on. Oh, damn it.
Imagine thinking that Big Brother isn't always watching.
You know, I was just thinking of The Matrix, where, like, Atin's just sitting in his seat and he turns to Jorp and he's like, haha.
No, the reality is, I try to be a good co-host, guest star, you know, and at a certain point, when y'all are talking about Ruby and Face, all this shit, I have
Oh,
literally
Atin's
nothing
back.
to say because I don't know fuck all about it. So I'll kindly see myself out for the time being.
You're just in time for talk about Pokemon, Harry Potter, and Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I know 2 out of 3 of
Also,
those things.
You want a good combination? Give close combat to a Lucario. Laugh at all the psychics. Laugh in their face.
Lucario is a shit Pokemon, not because he's actually shitty, but because he's probably the most overpowered Pokemon to ever exist in the game. You can
Yeah,
literally
I love
throw
him.
him on your team.
I see your Lucario, Jorp, and I raise you Gardevoir.
What Gardevoir? Lucario trash Gardevoir.
No, bro, Gardevoir. Just Gardevoir, you give her Quick Claw, and you teach her Hypnosis and Dream Eater, and you just fucking win.
So you get a lucky revenge kill. Big whoop. Lucario still killed the other, like, 4 or 5 members of your team.
That's why you start with Gardevoir and follow that up with a fucking Breloom that knows Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Lightning Punch, and Mach Punch. Because fuck you, fuck your team, and fuck everything else.
Yeah, because you're getting far with Breloom.
Do not mock the Breloom.
I like
man.
Breloom. I like Breloom. I used him in my
Let's-
playthrough of what was it, the 3rd gen one, but
Ruby,
still
Sapphire, and we'll take your
Breloom.
pick. Oh yeah, okay. Look, let's be honest. Breloom probably carried a lot of people with that Mach Punch when Ruby first released.
To be fair, you can the Pokemon games are so simplified for retards. You can go through a game of Pokemon with 5 fucking Sunfloras, okay? Beat the Elite Four.
Why are you using 5?
Like, that takes dedication to get 5.
How do you get 5 sunstones is my question.
Like I said, dedication.
You work hard.
You work
Well,
hard.
is that or
Save
you
up,
take the
save up
easy
your
route
money.
and get a Game Shark?
Well,
No,
no,
you trade with your
Occasionally.
friend.
it doesn't.
I
Isn't
understand- I
Sunstone a
understand.
reward from the capture contest as well?
I understand that 90% of people who play Pokemon don't actually utilize the trade feature because they don't have friends, but sometimes you can trade over another character with a
See,
Sunstone.
that's why Wonder Trade is the best, because you're guaranteed to get a Zubat that knows Hyper Beam.
Actually, when Wonder Trader was first introduced, because I always like the breeding aspects of the Pokemon games. I don't know why.
Oh my god, I
But
absolutely dumped
I would
every
I would
failure.
just distribute. I
Yeah.
would just distribute like starters
I
and
was
like rare
I used
Pokemon
to be such a
that could
like
breed.
min-maxing IV whore, and every single failure, as I called them, I would
Oh,
just
you were
dump
that
them
guy.
into the Wonder Trade. But the best part is the Pokemon I was breeding them with, they knew like Fire Kick and shit, like all the moves that I could pass
Boy,
down
I
to
wish people
children.
would stop fucking with the goddamn.
So it's like level 1s, just knowing like Fire Kick and like Ice Punch and shit, all just being dumped into the Wonder Trade.
And all the people who aren't competitive asshats are like, oh wow, this is great.
If you're playing competitive Pokemon and you're not playing on Pokemon Showdown, you're just wasting your fucking time.
Okay, to be fair, this is before Pokemon Showdown became more. How long has Pokemon Showdown been around?
Long time, man.
Shaolin Showdown!
Oh, that was such a good bad show.
Oh god, it was
Good,
so
bad.
terrible.
That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
Because
Good,
like
bad.
some things about that show were super high effort and tried really hard,
It
and
was
some of them didn't.
It was
Like-
a simultaneous high effort shitpost.
But it was like there were certain things that were decidedly not a shit post, but then they were like, "Hey, what's this guy's name? Texas man.
Yeah, it's just like, oh
Right.
god.
What's her name? Goth girl. What's his name?
Yep.
Asian stereotype."
Sorry, I was more of a Teemo Supremo watcher.
Oh god, what was that horribly, by today's standards, racist Mexican cartoon? Lucha Libre?
Oh,
It was such a fun show, though. Like as a kid, it was great.
such an absolute shitpost.
There's a lot of stuff you look back at, you're like, it doesn't matter if this was meant for comedy or anything, or even to make a statement. This just wouldn't fly.
Never seen Lucha Libre. What the
Oh
fuck is
my
that?
god.
okay. So it's a bunch of like what
It
12-year-olds.
All right, it's imagine a shonen
No,
about
the best
masked
no.
wrestling, but the masks give you superpowers.
No,
Also,
even
they're all
even better.
12.
So
What's it called again?
So Lucha
Lucha
Libre.
Libre.
So the best way to describe
Lucha Libre, that's literally just Mexican professional wrestling.
Yes,
Yes.
we know. So imagine Lucha Libre, the Mexican wrestling, right? But it's written by a fan fiction author. It's a high effort shitpost, and it's a high school AU. That's Lucha Libre, the cartoon.
I would say, but it's not even a high school AU.
Wait, it's a middle school AU.
Yeah, it's
Is it-
early
is it-
middle school
Is it
AU.
Lucha?
Yeah, Mucho Lucha.
Mucha Lucha.
Mucha Lucha, that's what it is.
Sorry.
Oh
Yeah,
my
sorry.
god.
It's been so long. It was Ricochet, Flea. Was it
What's your superpower, Flea? I smell bad.
Oh God. What was the third character's name?
That was the
Oh, I
girl,
don't know.
right?
It was the girl.
Something
Yeah.
girl. It was literally something girl.
Yeah.
Is it? I can't remember.
Oh god. 90s cartoons, early 2000s cartoons, they were a trip.
They were though, and none of them would fly now, and it sucks
Oh,
because
God,
it would
none of them
make
would fly now.
Western cartoons so much better if they still did it
None
compared
of them
to the
were
trash
flying
that we get now.
Oh, you know what? No,
After
not even
after
Code
the Rocko's
Lyoko.
Modern Life reboot show, Western cartoons are dead.
Oh god. Not even like Code Lyoko would fly now.
Oh,
Because
Code Lyoko was so good.
Code Lyoko was
yes.
so good. That was French.
No,
Buena girl.
That
Max.
probably would. What?
Buena girl. Good
Right,
girl.
literally good girl. She was literally good girl. Oh god.
It was secret, guys. It was secretly written by the Japanese.
Oh god.
Yeah,
Well, I loved Code Lyoko. That was my
probably
shit.
would have been
Oh,
fine.
God.
partially
Code
'cause it
Lyoko
was
is
from
great.
France. Sometimes the French make good things.
But no, so we're just going to ignore season 4 ever happened. But no, like Code Lyoko is about terrorism taking place in a school due to a failed government project. That would not fly.
Isn't that what basically every mass shooter is?
No, I think it would still air over here. Or if nothing
No.
else, we'd have to deal with the fan translations on.
That theme song was fucking kicking too, though.
Oh god, yeah. Oh god.
Back when I was still in college, I'd had my eyes. It was an $80 DVD collection. It was an official print for all of Code Lyoko.
Like Code Lyoko got deep too. It
Yeah.
got serious. They were like, do we kill someone to save the world and shit? And it's like a bunch of fucking teenagers at a prep school. And they're just sitting
yeah.
here having to discuss the fact of, oh, is this AI intelligent? Also, do we sacrifice her to save the rest of the world?
And can we? Should
Yeah.
we? Should we?
Yeah, and
Sacrifice.
should we?
Also,
Like, holy
is she
shit.
a person? And if she is, should we try to make her a body?
Yeah. Oh
Also, should we
god.
fuck her? Remember when they were trying to fuck her?
Oh no.
No, there was only one guy.
Jeremy was trying to fuck her.
Which, to be fair, according to what the season we do not speak of, he succeeded.
I don't know when it went.
That was a fade to black, and he was definitely happy afterwards. That was a success.
Did anyone actually look at season 4? Is the live action one, isn't it? The one
we,
where
we
announced
don't
we were
talk
getting
about
more?
season 4.
Oh, we talk about it.
I remember everyone was like, "Yes, we're getting a season 4." Casting calls. Wait, what?
What?
There was a live action Code Lyoko?
No, there wasn't.
Oh, but hold on.
So we had news. Oh, there's going to be a new Code Lyoko. Great, and then we saw that there was a live action casting call. It's like, what?
Oh, what?
Why?
This came out. What, Code Lyoko Evolution? What?
Listen,
No,
stop. The
no.
less you learn, the happier you'll be.
Honestly,
as a
yeah. The less
I'm
you
looking-
learn.
I'm looking. They turned Aelita into a fucking like dowdy kid with a mop on her head.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it turns out
it
it's
was
really
bad.
hard to get a bunch of attractive middle schoolers when you're not animating them.
Yeah.
Uh,
But no,
Yo.
I loved the entire premise of Code Lyoko. It was, for its time, very original and interesting.
it was fun too.
Speaking
and like,
French,
there are multiple times.
The only good thing the French ever did besides support us during our fight for independence.
oh, this looks like shit.
And then they
never
ruined
felt
it with
good things
season
about it.
4.
Is this canon? Is this like a
No,
continuation of the
no,
show?
we don't pay attention to season 4. Season 4
I don't
never
know
happened.
what it is. Like
No
No,
the
one
like
moment.
considers it
legitimately, like,
canon.
is it canon?
Yes.
Oh, that makes me sad.
I mean, did half of it with the computer stuff. Why didn't they just fucking do the cartoon? The cartoon looked good.
Okay, so what happened is when the live action of season 4 occurred. It was during that small little period where all of the producers of cartoons had this like idea that live action would not only be cheaper to do but would get more people. This is around the same time the Ben 10 live action movie happened. Around the same time the Avatar live action happened.
Man, who didn't want to fuck Ben's cousin though?
I think this is.
I
think
way
the
after
silence speaks for itself.
I think this is way after
later on,
Last
like later on in
Airbender.
the show, like when she's older.
Ah,
No,
when it's not jailbait.
Last Airbender movie was like 2010, wasn't it? This was like
It was like
2014,
2008.
2015.
Wait, no. Season 4, no.
Season 4 was like.
Anyway,
Alright,
now
well,
that
you know what? I'm reading the
it was
author's
season
note.
5. No, season 4 was that was when William came back as a
Right.
minion. Season 5 is the live action stuff. I was like, no wait, I remember season 4 being fun for some reason because I didn't remember.
Ben 10 was great
the
up
live
until they
action.
they fucked up the animation style and they sent him like to college and he had that weird like cyborg alien sidekick.
The Omniverse or whatever it was.
I got out before that happened, and boy, was I glad.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it went to
same.
shit. Well, I guess Birdie's telling me I gotta go play D&D with these fuckers. We were supposed to start half an hour ago, but these fuckers they can't keep to a schedule. They can't keep a goddamn thing.
This seems to be a common
Well,
problem.
you know what? I'm actually glad we spent all this time talking about not this story because I'm looking at the author's note here, and it says, "So this is a plot bunny I could not ignore. This is actually a AU continuation of Lightning Dragon's Roar, and I checked out Lightning Dragon's Roar, and it's a
I think we read that, didn't we?
No, it's a fairy tale Harry Potter crossover where Harry Potter unlocks his hidden bloodline of Lightning Dragon Slayer.
Okay.
Seems about right.
Wait,
I
does
mean,
it
why
actually
not?
say
As
that?
one does.
Yes.
Imagine the hubris of being a person who
So
writes
this-
a 31
so
chapter
this
fanfic and
is
has a
a
plot
fairy
bunny.
tale crossover.
This is an
It is a fairy tale
AU
crossover.
divergence fic of an AU crossover fusion.
On that note, you guys have a good night. I'm gonna go play some D&D.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
no,
you
no,
don't.
no. It's even better, Sneaky, because it's an isekai on top of all of that.
It's also it's also an isekai.
He just wanted to make sure he ticked every single box.
How many boxes can I tick? 1, 2, all the fucking boxes.
Just drags the marker down the line.
Just one big check mark for the whole page. That's it. Just the entire page. That will be my story. I'll figure out the details later.
You get a custom stamp. It's like extra large, the size of your forearm, and it just says the words "yes" in the biggest fucking letters possible. Yeah. So that's. I'm glad we just talked completely not about that fic at all because that sounds like a great thing to read on Friday.
Oh, for sure.
But I appreciate everyone who showed up for showing up. Of course, I shall make my plea that everyone who has made it to this point, you go out and shill for me at some point in time. Not saying right now, possibly at a point in time when everyone's not getting ready to go to bed, and or sleeping already, and or not going to listen to anything you say about a podcast about fanfiction. So just prey on the people. Just pick the right time to bring it up in a conversation about this podcast. Just slip it in
We
there.
want you to become sleeper agents for the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, just tell your friends, tell the people in your Discord, just absolutely shill for me everywhere you think you can get away with it. Because the only way we're gonna grow is if you do that. Because nobody is ever going to listen to the guy who actually made the podcast when he shills for his own podcast. Other than that, I will see you guys all next time on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you have trouble figuring out what time zone that is for you, there is this magical thing called Google. Use it. Yeah, that's about it. So I will see you all next time because there is always more and it always gets worse.